Hello, this is video 14 that goes along with the workbook entitled Maintenance of Certification Step by Step by Culp. I am Crystal, and so we are going to talk today about Component 1, written commentary, and each of the individual prompts that you need to answer for each of the PGEs. So in video 10, I talked about how to find that written commentary template. You will type directly into that template. So on the first page, there's a place for your candidate number, and then you're answering the question about your current position and your duties and how you interact with students through those duties. The second page is a list of the prompts themselves, and it's the third page in the top left-hand corner, that little set of brackets there that you will type directly into. And so the first 2 pages do not count against your page count. You get 8 total pages, 4 pages for each of your PGEs. You're going to only concentrate on one PGE at a time. So the first 4 pages, Component 1, PGE, answer the prompts, all the prompts about the first PGE, then the last 4 pages, all the prompts about the second PGE. So we're going to look at each of those individual prompts now, and in the workbook on the pages 15 through 19 will be the focus of this video. Okay, so the very first prompt number 1, reads, provide a context of the professional situation that indicates what needs of students, the professional community, parents, guardians, and or yourself you're addressing with this PGE. In other words, you identified a need of someone, whether it's students, yourself, a parental group, and you've identified that need, and then you're going to tell us the professional context around identifying that need that caused you to know that you needed professional development or some sort of activity or work around that need. Okay, and so when you answer this question, you need to be thinking about the big picture or the background. In other words, what needs to be addressed and why? Why that? And how do you know? I don't know how many times when I've been reviewing national board candidate work and they make a claim, but then they don't tell me how they know something. So I've written, how do you know, ? A bazillion times on people's work over the years. So this is the big picture question. In the space on page 15, there's a space for you to make notes and that you can reference later as you begin answering these questions on the form. But this is just to start getting ideas produced in your mind and some notes that you can reflect on later there on page 15. Okay, we're going to move to prompt number 2. It says, describe the PGE and how each of your PGEs demonstrate a response to the identified need. But again, you're only going to focus on one PGE at a time. So how does the first PGE demonstrate a response to the identified need? Why did you choose to do that in the response? So when it says a response, it is the PGE itself. And remember, we talked earlier in earlier videos that strong PGEs are layered. It's many things together that create a strong PGE. So why did you choose those specific things to do to meet the need? So this details your engagement to meet the need that you have identified. In other words, what did you do and why that? Why did you choose that? So on page 16, there are notes, space for notes for you to make that you can then reflect on later. Why that? Why those choices? All right, page 17 of this workbook focuses on the third prompt, which is about how you acquired and deepened your certificate-specific content knowledge. It specifically reads, in the context of each of your PGEs, explain how you have acquired and deepened your certificate area-specific content knowledge and or your pedagogical knowledge and skills to remain current, including use of research and or use of other professional activities. So this question itself indicates that your own personal research, reading articles, reading books, going to another person's blog, going to a university website, your research can count as a part of your PGE. Okay, so let's look at some specific terminology within this question. It says acquired and deepened. You know what that suggests to me? It suggests a planned strategy by you. You have seen the need. Now you're deciding how you're going to meet that need. And so this is the detail of that. Explain how you acquired and deepened your certificate-specific content knowledge. So it's your original certificate area, not a new one. You can't maintain in a certificate other than the one that you have already completed and were successful in becoming National Board Certified. So acquired and deepened suggests a planned strategy. And then the language to remain current suggests embracing change. You know, we as teachers, sometimes we get in these ruts and we want to just keep doing what we're always doing. Well, as you identify a need, you're also identifying that what you're currently doing isn't working. And so you're trying to remain current in your research, current in your training, so that you are meeting the need that you have identified. All right, so there are notes on the bottom of page 17 where you can list ideas that you have about answering prompt number 3. All right, so on page 18 is focused on prompt number 4, and it is about impact. So prompt number 4 reads, analyze ways in which each of your PGEs and related activities positively impacted student learning, whether directly or indirectly. So pause just for a minute and think about the difference between directly impacting student learning and indirectly impacting student learning. The first example that comes to my mind for directly is that the students are right in front of you and you are responsible for their instruction, and you have set goals for them that are just for them, shows that you know them. And then indirectly would be how you're providing in training for other teachers that they implement in their classroom. There are other ways to directly and indirectly impact student learning. Those are just 2. So just pause and think more about the difference between directly and indirectly. All right, so the word analyze in that prompt, it means that you're being asked to detail your thought process. Not just that, also the significance of how what you did positively impacted student learning. You know, when it comes to National Board writing, there are 3 kinds of writing: descriptive, analytical, and reflective. Analytical is tough because you got to slow down. You got to slow down your thinking, stop and think, why did I do what I did? What were your thought processes on how you perceived it was successful or not? And even getting into the minds of the students as well, because how they are impacted is this is going to be a bit of the evidence that you're trying to write about how you know that you positively impacted student learning. You're analyzing what you heard students say. You're analyzing student work to find that impact. It is going to answer the question, how do you know? If you make a claim, you have to be able to say how you know, and that's through analysis of what students do after you have provided that instruction. So there's place here on page 18 for you to make notes for yourself to reference later as you answer that prompt. Okay, prompt number 5 is about professional growth. It says, reflect on each of the PGEs presented and on changes, additions, and or next steps that would enhance your professional growth in the future. So again, I have already talked about the 3 kinds of National Board writing: descriptive, analytical, reflective. This is reflective writing. So reflection is based on what you have learned. You know, I said just a few minutes ago, embracing change and knowing that what you're doing maybe needs an update, or you need to learn something new, that you're not really meeting the needs of students, you're not really having a positive impact on students, so you know that you need to change and do something. So that could be part of the nature of the PGE. This question, though, is you've already made the change. You have decided, I need to know this better, or I don't know anything about this and I need to know it to help my students in one area or another. So the reflection then is based on what you've learned through this professional growth experience. So in other words, what are you going to focus on now in regards to your professional growth? What's next for you and why that? Maybe it didn't go as well as you thought. Maybe you need more time with this professional growth experience. Maybe you need to add to it in some way. And that's what this question is really asking you about. So that's page 19 of the workbook. Again, there's space for notes down at the bottom of this page. Alrighty, so now let's look at page 20 of your workbook, Maintenance of Certification Step by Step. Page 20 talks about prompts 6 through 9. So they're a different kind of animal than the first 5 prompts that you'll answer about each of your PGEs. These prompts, 6 through 9, are prompts that you need to answer, but only about one or the other of the PGEs. You can answer them about both, but you may not have space to do that. So decide which of the PGEs most appropriately helps you answer one of these prompts, but don't ignore them. You need to answer these 4 questions somewhere within your written commentary about one or the other PGE. So my suggestion, though, is to review the prompts, your answers to the prompts that you've already written about your PGEs, because there may be elements of these prompts in the answers that you've already given, especially the one about technology, because there's prompt number 6, I believe, is about how you integrated technology. That may be the whole focus of your PGE, so technically you've already answered this prompt. There's no reason to answer it again. So go back through and look at how you've already answered these questions. Look at the nature of your PGEs and decide, do I really need to go back and specifically answer that prompt again, or do you feel like you've already answered that prompt in some way? There's another question about collaboration with others, including teachers, community members, parents, and professional groups. Again, you may have already addressed this. You don't need to waste the space trying to answer it again. And then patterns or themes in your professional development. You likely have not answered this prompt, so go back and look at your professional development. You can even remember when early in the workbook, when you were trying to come up with your PGEs and you were categorizing them and putting all related PGEs together in a category and then giving it a title. Go back to that page and look again, because there are themes that will emerge, patterns that will emerge, that you'll see how your professional growth has developed, over the last so many years since your last certification. You can use information about all of your professional growth experiences, even the ones that you didn't choose to focus on, because you can use it to show patterns or themes in the choices that you've made over these years. If you don't find evidence to these prompts 6 through 9 in your previous writing, you are going to need to go back and make sure that you answer it. So a reminder about your writing, because you've only got 4 pages for each PGE. You need to be clear, you need to be consistent, you need to be concise. Okay, so that is page 20 of the workbook, and those are all the prompts for component 1 written commentary. So I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next video where we talk about component 2 video.